Hey, you're more nervous than I am.
Oh yeah, no, I get very nervous, but
Yeah,
I'm hoping to. I like it.
yeah,
Fail better each time, and
right.
not just aim for good.
Well, see, that's another thing. My acting teacher used to always say, when you're nervous before a performance, don't try to get rid of the nervousness. Bring it with you into the scene because it's an authentic emotion. And as he put it, never deny an authentic emotion on stage or in front of a camera. Never deny it. Never try to cover it up. So if in the middle of a scene you start laughing, laugh. If in the middle of the scene you're nervous, let that nervousness be there. When I do a poetry reading, I am always, ask my wife, she'll tell you, my palms get sweaty and I'm a wreck. And I want to be, I know that's good. I go, okay, good. It means I'm alive, because if I was dead, I wouldn't be nervous. But if you're alive, you're afraid of failure. And when you're afraid of making a fool of yourself in front of 20 or 100 people, you get nervous. Well, that's good. I should be nervous. And what I try to do is not to dissipate it. The nervousness is really my friend because it means I am connected to this moment when I get up and I open, my book of poetry and I go, okay, my first poem is going to be, blah, blah, blah. If I'm confident, I'm going to be boring. Confidence is really pretty boring. There's nothing worse than seeing somebody think they know everything. It's boring when you're performing, when you're acting, when you're reading. So if you are nervous, hold on to it. It's your friend. Let it be. And when you start to read whatever that poem is or story, if the poem makes you're nervous, it's because there's something at stake. You might be writing about the time your father came home drunk and you tried to stop him from leaving and you pushed him down and he fell, and here you are 12 years old and you feel like you just knocked your dad out. Or maybe you're writing a poem about when you were in Italy and you were 19 and you got a phone call from the father of the boy you were traveling with. And he tells you, son, you have to come home. You're the man in the family now. And you don't even want to admit that you know what that means. So you say, what? I don't understand. Of course you understand. He's telling you your father died. But you go, what? I don't understand. He said, son, you're the man in the family now. Well, that's a moment that I relive and remember. It was like my whole world caved in. I was in Lake Como in Italy, and it just changed my life. I never thought that would happen. My father was like the most important man in my life. And if you're writing something about that, then you should be nervous. It should bring you into the heart of your feelings, whatever they might be. For me, it was absolute terror, just terror that I would not know what to do. I felt my father was the wisest man I ever knew, and that even though I was 19, I felt that he would tell me the secret of life. And he hadn't told it to me yet, but he was going to. And when he died, I thought, I'll never know what the secret of life is. I'll never know how to survive because I want to be an artist, and I don't know how you make a living as an artist. So maybe he would tell me, but he wasn't there anymore. And I was like lost for years because of that. And even now when I'm talking about it, I'm getting all, I'm feeling that feeling I had when I was just scared shitless about life, that I wouldn't know what to do. And the funny thing about it is it's been, I don't know, 60 years since my dad died, and I'm still not sure I know what the secret of life is, and I'm still not sure I know how to survive. I can't believe I've survived this long, but I have, but I don't believe it. I don't get it. I don't understand it. I don't know how people survive. I always think they know something I don't know. So nervousness is good.
How are Father's Days for you?
How what?
Father's Day, June 20th. How is that for you?
Father's Day? You mean when I'm the father of my son? And
Any time Father's Day comes up.
I, once my son was born, it was more a question of me being the father to him. And so that's what Father's Day was for me, that, he would get me something or write me a card. And every card he wrote, I've saved them. I've got them on my bookshelves, so I can see them. And, he always would make me a Father's Day card. I never thought about that. I think about my father so much, or did think about him so much, that I don't think I reserved one day that today's going to be the day I think about him. I thought about my father so much, especially when I was unsure or in trouble or worried or whatever. I would think, what would my father do? What would he say? What would he tell me? So I don't need Father's Day, but he died when he was 54, I think. So when I made 54, I remember thinking, okay, because I always thought, will you live to be as old as he was? At the time, 54 seemed like very old. But when I was 54, I felt like I just got started. My son was about 5 years old, so I became a father when I was 49. So, at 54, I thought, okay, now it's me. It's not him. Now it's my turn. I've got to do it. So that was a big year for me when I had turned 54.
Was it easy for you to write about this?
I've written about my relationship with my father many times, in different ways. And my mother, too, who was a kind of a crazy, according to my therapist, a paranoid schizophrenic. So I wrote about my mother, too. But I've written about my father. I've written about being a father when Josh was born, and I would have to go to Safeway and get diapers and Enfamil, the milk, that you drink. So I've written about father issues quite a bit. Bukowski has that great poem about his own father, when he goes to his house after his father dies, and he puts on his father's suit, which hangs on him a little loose. The poem is called The Twins, because he looks at himself in the mirror and he thinks, okay, now I'm my father. So we could be twins. So I guess you wrestle with your father one way or the other. Those who've had good fathers, those who had bad fathers. My dad was a wise man, a great man, loved by everyone. He also had a problem. He was an alcoholic, and a lot of anxiety in my family growing up. I'm a, quote, adult child of alcoholics. That was the thing. But I don't know if I wrote about him a lot after I got to be 54. I think at that point I kind of thought, well, okay, I got this far without knowing anything. Maybe I can go the rest of the way without knowing anything. And I still don't know anything, Every day when I wake up in the morning, it's I try to guess what time it is by the light, the light outside, that beginning of dawn. And I try to guess what time it is. And I'll look over and I'll see what time it is. And I'll think to myself, okay, another day to write your poems and teach and, love your friends and love the world. So that's a long answer to a very simple question you asked. Where's the green tape?
No, I don't want you to stop. That's great. I like it. I know there's a lot of emotion. I remember there was a clerk at a grocery store, and I'd seen the person many times, and I was sort of friendly with them, and it was Father's Day, and the clerk so I forgot what happened, and he said, "You're not wishing me a happy Father's Day," and I could see how hurt he was. And he goes, "You think that just because I'm older, I don't, you know," and I could just see it was like a real wound to this person.
Yeah.
And I said to him, the reason I didn't wish you that is because Father's Day wasn't a thing for me. I never knew mine, so that was why. So we were both coming to it with these two different things, but
Yeah.
I could see even he was still, this was very hard for him, and here he was behind this cashier trying to save face. And I just remember that being a very interesting moment. I never forgot it.
Yeah, we don't have a lot of moments like that with people we don't know.
I kind of knew him. Just I would joke with him, and I actually never saw him after that. I don't know what happened to him, but hopefully he's okay. But anyway, I'm going off on a tangent. But I guess what I'm trying to say is that we don't know fatherhood, motherhood, all those things these are very sort of deep. You talk about the deep voice. These are things that we all carry our own wound or whatever with us.
Yeah, and you don't know whether you're supposed to play a role or what is it to be a father. I remember when my wife was pregnant, when she called me on the phone to tell me she was pregnant, the first thought I thought was, okay, now it begins, meaning I have to take life seriously. And then the night her water broke, we were watching Sleeping with the Enemy, a movie on TV, and it was about 11 o'clock at night. You always want your water to break in the morning so you can go to the hospital and you've had a good night's sleep. But no, it was 11 o'clock at night. We were exhausted, and our water breaks, and we're driving to Kaiser, and I stop at a Ralph's or something, and I get ice because they said something about, she can have ice or something like that. I don't know what it was. But I went into the Ralph's with the neon lights, and everything was real bright. And it was 11:30 at night. And again, I just had I got a little ice chest, put the ice in. I remember thinking, okay, this is it. We know it was a boy. Your son's going to be born very soon, and your life is going to totally change. So there was that feeling that everything was going to be different. Well, nothing really changes. You just go on day by day, being and dealing with what you have to deal with. But in my imagination, I thought, it was like, okay, showtime. It's like you're doing a play, and they go, you're on. And then you have to walk out there and, I'm the father. Where's my lines? And they go, there are no lines. I go, what do you mean? They go, well, we don't have any lines. Well, there's got to be lines. I mean, I'm a father. What's the role? What do I got to do? And they go, oh, I don't know. And they go, well, are you a father? They go, yeah, but I don't know what the hell to do. Well, anybody here know what to do? No. I'm in front of 500 people here. What am I going to do? Well, you got to be a father. Yeah, but what is that about? I don't know. So you just go and do it. That whatever role you think it is, it's not what you think it's going to be. I remember when Josh was in third grade, I was driving him to school, and my son is very stubborn. I don't know where he gets it. He gets it from me, of course. He's really stubborn. I mean, you don't tell Josh what to do. And we're in the car, and I don't know, we got into something. He and my wife would always say, don't make it a fight, I couldn't help it. I'm going to hold my position, he's going to hold his. And before you know it, I'm kind of yelling and screaming and da-da-da, and we're just driving. It's a mess. We get to school, and it was my day to go to the kids and teach them how to write poetry. So I tell them, write about something true and da-da-da. Anyway, I walk around the room and watch what the kids are writing just to see if they're doing okay. Sometimes a kid maybe doesn't quite know how to get started, and I help him. And there's my son writing about me yelling and screaming in the car. Now, I usually have the kids get up and read, and there was no way I could not have him do it if he wanted to, because that would be a bad lesson to teach him. So when it was time to read, I said, okay, who wants to read first? Josh raises his hand. I go, oh, shit. So he walks up, opens it up, and he's writing about being in the car with his dad, who's yelling and screaming and blah, 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 blah. And the kids are like, I mean, they're loving it, and at the same time, they're a little shocked. And I know they're all looking at me. They want to see, how am I going to react to it? And I just listened to it like I was listening to a piece of writing. And then when he was finished, I went, good, good. I said, you know, the part there where you mentioned that, you could write a little more about that, you know, make it. Now, as I responded to it like it was a piece of writing worthy of being commented on. But, you know, how do you plan for something like that? You know, they're the kids, I'm the teacher, and he's writing about me, you know, being a kind of not very empathetic father. So, you know, I don't know. Whatever's in the handbook, it wasn't in the handbook I got. You just sort of stumble your way through and hope you do your best. I think that's why in Saving Private Ryan, at the very end of the movie, when he goes to the grave of the major who saved his life, and you know he's an old man now, and he hopes that his life was worthy of being saved. I broke down in the movie theater because the way I related to it was, at that point when I saw the movie, I hope my life will be worthy as a father, as a husband, as a friend. And I mean, I was just, it's probably the most I've cried in a movie ever in my life, when he said, I hope my life will be worthy. So you make a lot of mistakes. You fail, right? You fail. And when you fail, you got to go, well, this is what's supposed to happen.
And that day that Josh wrote this piece about the car ride over, that was the deeper voice?
Yeah, it was a deep voice, and he was writing about something that was like pretty brave, gutsy of him to write about that. You know, I mean, I'm his father. I'm the teacher. I'm coming into the classroom as the teacher, teaching everyone how to write. And I'm telling them, as a matter of fact, I read a poem about my own father. Come to think of it, that's part of the lesson. So he went and did it, you know, bravo for him. So, like I said, I had to validate that. I couldn't, tell him, no, don't read that, Josh. It'll make me look bad. Well, if it made me look bad, too bad. Because what he wrote was good. And as a teacher and as a father, I have to reinforce for him that this is how you make art. You tell the truth. You take risks. You write about what's hard to write about.